Okay, so this is Yom Dalet Wednesday. Parshas Mishpatim. It's the same Kvisa this year. Alav Dresh Chedesh Elul. No, it's a day off. Tav Shalom Beis. So this Maimake came out Mugga in Tav Shalom Beis. And Lidodi Li Rosh Tevis Elul. That's when Abu Raham and other Meforshim that point out is Rosh Tevis Elul. The Rebbe explains in the Torah and his mind beginning with these words as follows. He says, Elul, who is Arusa de Lesata. Elul is man to God, Ani Lidodi. But Rosh Hashanah is the Hashem's response. Yom Kippurim, Yam Shochem, Milamayda Lamata, that's Hashem's response from above to below. Sarusa de Leila. In Pashtus, we're asking God to grant us a good year. That's the request in Elul, building up to Rosh Hashanah, and God responds in writing and sealing us for a good year, and that's the Sarusa de Leila. That's in Pashtus. But he means to him what Baruch B'Pnimius Inyan. So that's Doidi Li. So immediately it raises the question, Tzarich Lahavin. It's a contradiction. At the beginning of the Maimon, he says, She'el Rosh Tevis and Doidi Li. All four words convey the word Elul. Then he says, Shebelul is not so. Elul is rak, two of the first two words, and Yeladoidi. So how do you reconcile that? He doesn't ask the question, he could raise the question, phrase it differently. The Rosh Tevis, instead of pinning the question on the Maimer, just the Rosh Tevis itself. Elul, including the last four words. And so I'm asking. Definitely bring the Alter Rebbe. Yeah. So I'm just saying, because that's a remes. So remes are not mechuyev to justify. The Alter Rebbe brings the remes. No, Yatzvet is Akash. Something like that. Okay. So that question now remains unanswered at this point. So to understand this, he continues what Al-Tebbe says, the famous moshel of a Melech Basada. Shebe'elul huzman is galos with gimel midas harachamim. That's how it was originally, right? Elul is the last 40 days that Moishe Rabbeinu, for the third time, is on Har Sinai, eliciting and mamshech the Eibishter's v'salachti kidvarecha, right? Just to refresh your memory, the first 40 days began. Shavuos ended Shivasa B'Tammuz with the Shviras HaLuchos. He went up, he spent the day dealing with the perpetuators. Then he went up again for 40 days to secure the Eibishter's Mechila unsuccessfully. He came down the end of informing the Yidden that there's work to be done, the tshuva is not deep enough. He went up the next day to Shchedesh El, which was yesterday, for the final 40 days, culminating Yom Kippur, and then came down with the Luchas Shniyos and Salachti Kidvarecha. Not surprisingly, we say that 3 times altogether. Neila Kol Nidri at night, right after Kol Nidri, the beginning of Tfilas Ma'ariv, Vayemer Hashem Salachti Kidvarecha. So why? Because he was, as Rashi explains it in the Medrash or the Pratim, that he was Ma'ariv the Yud Gimel Midas HaRachamim. And this happens every year. Not only every year does it happen, but even deeper. That's one of the big chidushim of Chassidus, great revolutions that pre-Chassidus, Bechlal, everything we observe, except for Rosh Hashanah. Pesach, something happened in the past that's very significant. We have to remember it. Shabbos, God created. We have to remember it. Interesting enough, even Rosh Hashanah, even without Chassidus, it's current. Yom Adin, you're being sealed. It's the only Yom Tov where even at the Pshat, not so pshat, but at Droshe Chazal level, Gemara level, Nigla level, it is current. But Chassidus came along and revealed not only is it current, not only is Pesach current and Shabbos current, it's happening now. Niskodim v'nasim, it's a word from the Arizal. Right now, the origin of this Pirush is Niskodim v'nas. Understand that you know the Pirush. And the Gila says, and these days will be remembered and observed. So the Arizal says that if Niskodim, it's brought in. It's Chaim. If it's Niskodim, remember properly, Venasim, it happens. It happens. And the Baal Shem Tov similarly teaches, if you read the whole Megillah backwards, Pashtus, you read the last chapter first, you tell the whole story but backwards, lo yotze. If you read it in its chronological order. So the Baal Shem Tov, the Pnimistic teaches, if you read the Megillah Mafreya story happened in the past, lo yotze, missing the whole point. So it's a big chiddush of the Arizal and the Chassidus. The Alter Rebbe adds another chiddush to the whole thing. That not only does it happen again, but in a deeper way. That every year Rosh Hashanah is a Eid Chodosh, not just a renewal of the whole kavanah of creation, but a deeper investment of the Eibush every year Rosh Hashanah. And that's true, therefore, this a deeper Pesach. But Pnimius, we're getting closer and closer. The Eibush is revealing deeper and deeper dimensions of himself, or in greater revelation. It's quantity and quality. Koponim, it's a big chiddush of Chassidus. The relevance, it's a relationship that is happening now. Tradition, just a big word, Messiah, and I hear the word Messiah by Chassidim. I have a tradition passed down, that's how we do it. No, it's current, it's now. It's a living God, the living Torah. It's talking now. For those that don't know the story, I'll tell you that my father-in-law, of blessed memory, he comes from a Hungarian from background, so of course the question is why he became a Lubavitcher. And it cost him. And it was a very unpopular decision for everybody else in his orbit, to put it mildly. So there was two things. I just mentioned one thing that, okay, since telling a story, we say both things. First thing was a Fabrengen on Park Avenue that he was looking. He went to Square, he went to Visions, he went to all the courts looking, and it didn't satisfy. What didn't it satisfy? Bashefer he found there. Bahilike Bashefer he didn't find there. Exactly what the previous mind was talking about. Clear. The Eibishter beyond creator. The emes of the Eibishter. So he's searching. So it was a Fabrengen in Park Avenue. And he was, the Peretz Mashkim was Fabrengen, and he was quoting, that explains the Pasuk on the Hashem, simple meaning, I have not changed, and you have not been destroyed. You still exist. I'm around and you're around. It's beautiful. Eternity of the Eibishter and Yidden is already, at the Pshat level, it's already beautiful. And the Peretz was quoting Chassidus, and the Eibishter is like asking us, and yeah, violation, this thing. Where's your place of nefesh? Where's your longing for me? This blew him away. Longing? Yiddishkeit is about a longing and a relationship. Well, it's about doing mitzvahs and learning a place in Elam Haba. It's a whole new language. That relationship with God. Got to find out more. That's where he stayed. Chassidus, and then what decided that Poite Hey was he went to Tafshin Gimel, went to his first Fabrengen. So he didn't understand the Fabrengen. Obviously, there's a lot of the whole style. You need a lot of background knowledge for the Chassidus that Rebbe said and everything else.
It wasn't just the Yiddish.
And the Yiddish, yeah, well, it was peppered. It just, if you're not familiar, but one thing he got. This is the most important thing. He says, here sits a Yid. He's not saying giving over Dvat Torah. It's a living Torah. The Eibishter is speaking to me now. Just the way the Rebbe spoke. Just the way this the whole Rebbe's whole demeanor. Not that he assumes the demeanor, his whole metzius. And the way he said, when he said the pasuk, he heard the pasuk, the Rebbe say, this was not a quotation of a pasuk written, a Torah written 3,000 years ago. The way the Rebbe says the pasuk, it's living now. It's a wonderful appellation that they call it living Torah. It's very accurate. And if you don't have to be anybody, you just listen and watch the Rebbe, you see that. It's the Eibishter and Torah is now and me. That's what he got. It's talking to me. My father would say, Mister, I'm talking to you sometimes. Or he wanted your attention. David is talking to you. Daddy God. That's the Heilige Basher. That's in this Ava Kodesh Baruch. The Dirib Tachtonim. You are the Tachni he wants to have a deal with. Akoponim, so the Alter Rebbe Shaila in Likutei Torah is that since this whole 40 days is this man of his galus of Yud Midas Harachamim, so how there should be holy days. How are they ordinary weekdays? How do you reconcile this closeness with God, and yet the halacha doesn't reflect that we have to divest ourselves of mundane activity, which is what malacha is, and experience this closeness that is afforded to us during this time, like a Shabbos and Yom Tov. And the way it's even higher than Shabbos and Yom Tov. It's Madach, Shabbos and Yom Tov. There's no malacha because we're communicating, we're connecting, we're being embraced by the king, we're dining by the king's table. And much more so, you give him midas harachamim, this compassion, this love that overrides even transgression and violation, and still love you, and I love you more than ever before. And it's ordinary weekdays. So you answer with the Moshe Melech Besad Mevayish Agilu, you give midas haracham belu l'kol echad v'yechad. Rebbe explains that the Gilui is to everybody, Gam Baruchakim B'Yoser, even the most distant. The king, before he comes to the city, everybody goes out, the people of the city go out to meet him. And they receive his countenance in the field. And then permission is granted, and you're able. Big diuk. Not only you're allowed to, but you are able to connect. To do what? The kol misharoitz lahakbil panav. Anybody who wants to greet the king can do so. And he mekablas kulam receives each one b'sev upon him yofos, where the pleasant disposition of mare upon him shechikas and shows up smiling and laughing, a laughing face that kulam to all of them. So this is the Alter Rebbe's Moshel. So the Nakuda is that then he goes on to say, then the king goes back to his Heichal Malchusay, they go back with him. But then he says only Anshi's Segula, people of distinction, are allowed into the Heichal HaMelech without going to those pratim because he doesn't bring it here. Maybe in the Maimon he does. At any rate, so the Nakuda of the answer is that Shabbos and Yom Tov, therefore, is every Jew gets an invitation to dine at the king's table. So you got to follow the rules to get there. There's a protocol. There's the way you dress. There's the way you talk. There are all the laws of Shabbos that put us where? And the king's table. The closeness is happening where? Beheichel Malchusay. Hechefenveld. God opens wide the palace doors and every Jew is invited. And this is how you get there. These halachas, this is your dibur, your speech, your walk, even the way a person walks, and his clothes, etc. It's all radically different, divested of worldly engagement, because you're sitting now, Shabbos and Yom Tov, 24, 48, 72 hours, so 3 days in a row. Beheicha Malchus. But Elul is also a closeness, in a way, a deeper closeness. Mara Ponim Sheichakus and Seva Ponim Yofis. But where's that happening? The Melech Basada, at our earthy, physical, worldly level. Hence, he resolves the question. Tremendous, deep, intimate connection, but not like Shabbos and Yom Tov. But now the Shaila is something else. I'm just explaining the Moshel. This is Pashup Shat in the Moshel. But Tzorich Lahavim, but our Shaila is, Alter is painting this, describing the reality of a loving connection that happens in Elul. Now, how does that jive with the Tur writes that from the Shchedesh Elul and onwards, taken by Shofar b'chol yom, we blow the shofar every day to stir the people to do tshuva. Shenamar, as the pasuk says, can a shofar be blown in the city and the people will not tremble? End of quote. So the whole point is the murder trembling. It's the obvious question to l'chayda. Bekivim shebelu lamelech makabel tkulam b'sev panim yofis. Amar panim sheichik esel kulam. Since the king is this pleasant disposition and a smiling, laughing face, not yira. The main thing is love. It's a loving relationship. What should the tshuva of Elul be accordingly? Is a tshuva out of love, not trembling. The Torah says we blow shofar. So why are we blowing shofar? To arouse awe and trembling. How does that fit with the matzav of the melech? It occurs to me as I'm sharing this, it doesn't belong in the shir because this is completely Eigen and Duda. But the king is laughing. What's so funny? Sheichak is ozimod is shreik pin. That means shreik. I'm saying shreik. The Rebbe used to say often with him. Chlal will be upon him sheichak is because as ozimod is shreik pin. Just remember the Rebbe saying with the shir. That's what I'm saying. I call upon it, but what's the laughter? I'm just saying this is just a personal. The laughter is the tainug. You didn't give up on yourself. You didn't get up. You didn't give up. That's the laughter. Bizdu, oh, you're here. That's wonderful. It's funny because what are you doing here? You talk to the Melech. It was very miyata, and where you been till now? Like in the Machzer, Rabbi Kalina fainted by a Melech. Remembering the Gemara in Gittin, story there with Bichlem and Zakkai. If I'm a king, so where were you till now? And the fact that we're not in the spore and we're there, it's the king laughs in a very deep time. They go, oh, he did. So good to see you. Okay, that's just.
It's also that harachoikim beyoser are coming as well.
Right, it makes it even funnier, right? It's funnier, objectively, because Baruchnis, we're coming without levushim, but we're coming. You can't hide who you are by the Melech. You're coming to speak to the king, like Chavel up, best buddies. That's funny, but it's a beautiful funny. The king is the biggest tainuk. Yep. I said this to someone yesterday. Ani לדודי. You know what doidi means? My beloved means a friend. Yeah. Maybe she's your friend. Yeah. Doidi. Okay. Rabbi was yeah. Ois Beis. Beautiful, beautiful mind, my friends, as I remember it. I think we actually learned it. We did. Nobody remembers? Huh?
We learned Chavav.
When didn't Ulama Beis? Okay.
I don't know.
Amongst the distinctions, that's our question now. Now, the final question was, on the one hand, the Alter Rebbe is explaining that Elul is a time of love and closeness, Yedidus, and Lidodi, my friend. On the other hand, we blow shofar, and the Torah says, why? How do we reconcile the two? So we have to understand, to reconcile the two, we have to understand the two. So amongst the distinctions between Av and Yiruhu, the Av bo adegilo oir milamaylo. Love comes through revelation from above. Let's finish the sentence. Vayira ba beikir, and Yira comes primarily, not exclusively, but primarily the Avodas ha'adam through a person. In Pashtus, you only love something that's lovable. That's what's meant by Gila Milamayla. You're impressed. You're affected. This is a lovable person. So there is an element the person has to be, but Yir, as he goes on to say, is a decision to be respectful.
When we speak about Rosh Hashanah and Kippur in this context, you see, automatically there's this gila in mind that's just there because the person's affected, whether he likes it or not. There's a aura that casts.
What do you?
Not if you're not aware of it.
First of all, we're not talking about Rosh Hashanah right now. We're talking about Av and Yira now.
No, I'm saying.
So what are you asking?
A year has something comes from our mind, like we in the
No.
that it casts a year up just from the aura of what's happening.
That's only if you make him your king. If you're not making me a king, it's not. He goes, that's long. We just Maim's gonna explain. Like the fear of a king. The reason they're in awe and fear of him is because they accepted him to be their king. Can't force it. If you force it, you're a dictator. You're not a king. You're a Moishe, not a melech. The Kabbalah Samalchus al Yidei this week's parsha, that making a king happens through and by the people, as the pasuk says, Soim Tosim Alecha Melech, you appoint a king. So therefore, it's Malamata Lamaila. Now, once you've made him your king and you've empowered him as such, then there can be Yira. Yira adds in brackets, be Iker, because why would you make him king? Because there is something about him that the people would want him to be their king. So it's not exclusively, he's a nothing and we're going to make you a king. But the Iker comes from the people. Whereas love, you're not going to love something if it's not lovable. It's got to impress you as such. So since Eldol is the avoid of what Melamata Lamaila and Yilidoidi, so which of the two is Melamata Lamaila? It's Yir. Avoid this Adam, Tzarech Liyes, Oz Yir. So now he's positing on the table. So far, we've not answered our questions at all. But he's just now made us aware that the Avodah Melamata Lamaila is expressed in respect. It's a decision for you to respect someone. Like in a relationship with your wife. So love comes easy. She's lovable, so you love her. That's why you married her. But what often is the big tragedy in marriages is that there isn't respect. Because that's not something that the other person, it pulls from you. It's something you got to give. Respect their space, respect their time. That's milamata. That's the measure of really of a relationship. You love her, yeah. Of course, that's because she's lovable. I love the way you make me feel. That's the basic nature of love. So why am I loving? Because you make me feel that way. So you're doing, not me. But respect is what I'm giving you. And that's avodah. Especially when you respect that which I don't see the value or the point, but that's what you want, making space. That's really the essence of the relationship. And that's not there, the love collapses and someone else is more lovable, and that's the end of it. It has to be based on this Kabbalah sale of years of respect. That's really the Ikar. And that's why Chassidus explained that there's more lois aseh than mitzvah saseh. Which is strange. You think the main thing is doing, religion is doing. There's more don't-dos. And moreover, the don't-dos are more universal. Mitzvah saseh, this doesn't apply to men, women, Levi, Kohen, Melech. The lois aseh, most of them apply to everybody, not all, much more. Why? Because the foundation, the yesod is respect of God. It's putting self aside for you. Not what I do for you, which I enjoy doing as well, because there's me in the picture. That's another dimension to it. Here it's just not doing for you. Av is I'm doing something for you, but there's a pleasure that I got it, and you're enjoying the present, that I'm engaged there. Respect is putting self aside, but you want your will. Not looking there because you don't want me to look there. That's tznius is respect. You don't look there because it's not invited there. So therefore, therefore, Elo, which is avodah liddoidi, says the avodah there of yira. Yesh lahaisif, and moreover, He's just translating for us, what you just did. That the Ikar Avodah is not ever so much even Yira and Lidodi B'Kabbalah Seh Malchus Shamayim, which is the foundation of Yira. Kabbalah soil is Kabbalah soil. I'm accepting your yoke on me. It's a yoke. Not because I love or am enjoying this, but because it's what you want. This is what he says in the Torah. Seems the diak here is, look at order 11, see Tafshin, the Eires HaKabbalas El Malchus Shamayim. The kvetchi is the going out to receive him. That going out is a tnu of Kabbalah soil. Leaving my space, leaving me, and receiving the king. So that's in the Moshel. Even though the Moshel overtly speaks about what the whole thing is, the Rachmim and Parim Sheichakis, but note says that the beginning of the Moshel is Yotzin. A Kabbalah Panav, Pnei HaMelech. That's the union of Kabbalah Yireh Shamayim that the Torah speaks about.
How does it drive with that they're Anshe Asoda?
We'll see.
I mean, what do you mean Yotzim? What do you mean Yotzim? I mean, aren't they there?
No. They're going from the city to the field. That what Bemis is, what you're pointing out, the Rebbe asked in the Sofis Nakot Sichas, Chelik Dal, the famous Sicha on the Marshal. So it's not the same beer over here. I don't want to say, so I'm not putting it in. But over there, in that Sicha, he asked that the whole Marshal is inverted completely. The Marshal has the king in the field. That's how it starts, opening scene. King in the field, people in the palace, in the city, going out to receive the king. It's faket. People of the field, that's us, Elam Hazar, we're field people. That's our place of origin. And there are times when the king, he leaves the city to come to us. The Marshal is everybody in the wrong place. The king here and us there. And we're Yoitz. But he gives the whole beard over there. That's where his Pin Mezakavan is, Taka the Sada. And why Yoitzin? Because when the Neshama is Mushish Lamaila, in the Ebishter Lamaila, that's the only reason that we're responding to all the Jews. And we come from the Heichel HaMelech. But at any rate, so I'm not going to put words in. I don't know what he's not answering this here. The diak here is one thing. Yitzil is Sada. You're asking where they're coming from. They're going down, no? You know what, Chaim, since you're asking, we have the answer. The city and the Heichel HaMelech is Ave and Yira, that's sophistication. Yoitzin, leaving Ave and Yira, I mean Yira as in the high level of Yira, and Yoitzin, leaving that Kabbalah soil. Leaving the city, sophistication, I love and enjoy this, and reestablishing the Kabbalah soil. That's the Yoitzin. And that's the Yoitzin maybe from the city, which is Giluyim. And here's the Nakud, the Kabbalah soil. Maybe. Continuing. So that's what the Torah says. We're blowing the shofar to Meiri Yir v'charadahu. Ke'inyin, the same Tosim Alech Melech. What's the point of the king, appointing the king? Says the pasuk should take that his fear be upon you. It comes from you. In order that accepting the king's sovereignty be b'shleimos, it's got to be through yira, which is yira is an avodah which is exclusively or primarily ani lidodi my avodah. You're not pulling this from me because you're so charismatic. It's because I am dedicating to you. Okay, we'll review this again tomorrow as it goes as achana to the beering in the pratius.